Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of The Block, The Shot, The Stop, our Cleveland Cavaliers post-game podcast brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. We are so excited. We've been working on this project for months to get this going. It is finally here. So before we get into what we're all about, let's first introduce ourselves. I'm Tim Daniel. Those of you who are following us over from the Riverfront may know me from Late Night Reds and my consistent appearances on the Riverfront Red Show, amongst other shows. Joining me is one of the biggest Cavs fans I know, and I just had to make sure I got an actual true to the blood Cavs fan to co-host this with me. Is Skylar Wuebker. And Skylar, I'm very excited you agreed to do this project when I called you. I'm very excited that we're finally getting this started, and it's a nice thing to be talking some Cavs basketball with you.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer to start with this. I mean, I love talking Cavs basketball. I watch every game, and getting the opportunity to do that with you is an easy decision.
Well, I appreciate that because I was running low on people to ask. So you were like I said, an absolute no-brainer. So the idea of this show, for those, this is obviously the debut, what we're going to be doing, and it's not just Skylar and I. There'll be a rotating crew of guys. Kind of coming in and out. More than likely, we'll be on majority of the episodes. We'll occasionally take a day off. We're going to be here after every Cavs game. We will normally be live on YouTube and hopefully other socials. It's just that I did not apply for live streaming in time for us to go live for this game. But we'll be here right after the buzzer, after every game, to kind of talk about what happened, what's going on. So that's the idea of what the show is going to be. We're going to probably be 35, 45 minutes. We want to have a live chat to kind of interact with everybody for those who want to hang with us throughout it. And we're just going to talk about the game and kind of where things are going, the good, the bad, the ugly, the awesome, and so forth. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and we'll kind of give you guys a glimpse right now. So we got our preseason opener tonight. The Kenny Atkinson era has begun at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and they do take a 116-112 loss to the Bulls after a third quarter where the Bulls put up a plus 16 advantage. But I'm going to attest at the preseason. I'm not going to really think too much into it by any means. The starters played a very brief point in the third quarter, barely didn't play the fourth at all. But
I was surprised the starters played in the third quarter at all.
Same.
Normally, they take them out at the half. So.
Yeah. Same here. But there's a lot of things to talk about we saw that were really, really good in that first half. And Skylar, when I was looking at the notes we put in our Google Doc, you and I had the first thought immediately, probably that every Cavs fan had, and that is Evan Mobley, the offensive juggernaut, is here. Kenny Atkinson was not shy whatsoever about his game plan. He's cutting to the rim. He's attacking the basket. And he looked great. He had 19 points tonight. You could tell that he was an emphasis of Kenny Atkinson's offense. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 9 of 4 from the floor. Only had 1 free throw, 3 block shots still. So the defense did not go downhill at all with how active he was on the offensive side of the ball. And then, of course, Donovan Mitchell, 12 points, 4 assists, 4 of 8 from the floor. Had some really, really awesome Donovan Mitchell plays. Had a couple deflections where he got wide open to the rim on a fast break. I thought they really looked good in transition. I thought that they played really well as far as the starters go. So there's a lot there that I just said. Jared Allen looked good as far as, Max Strus did get hurt, which is kind of a bummer. I can't imagine he's going to play Thursday. But there's a lot to get to already from what we saw in the first preseason game. What are kind of your bigger takeaways for the Cavs so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was, like you said, we all kind of assumed, guessing what this new coaching staff is going to implement. And it's implemented exactly what we've been waiting for. Evan Mobley being present in the offense. The stats that you listed off are on 15 minutes. And the stats that you listed off, that would be excellent on any given night during the regular season. So yeah, like you said, Kenny Atkinson made it very apparent what his game plan was. We are getting Evan Mobley involved, and that was a pain point in the Bickerstaff era where he was used mostly as a defensive presence and a glass eater. So I was very happy to see that. The second part that I love seeing is Donovan Mitchell really picking up where he left off.
Yeah.
I think he could be MVP hunting, given health, distributing the ball, making steals, shooting well in the first preseason game. There was no rust on either of those two guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that you kind of, I mean, like you said, Mitchell just kind of picking up where he left off. What they obviously really missed in that Celtics series last year was having him, though Mobley was terrific in that series. Let's kind of go through a couple things there that I want to dive into compared to Mitchell. So you mentioned there's that one stretch in the first quarter where Mobley has like that insane layup that they call a foul that was not a shooting foul. And then Mitchell right after comes off a screen and hits a three that they don't call a foul either. That was like a circus shot. And you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be really fun. This is going to be really nice. So that was really good. There was a play that really jumped out to me when Strus was in where he had a really nice bounce pass to Jared Allen that took him right to the rim for a dunk. And I know you kind of saw a little bit of that in the Bickerstaff era, but this kind of was full effect. I thought that the way the offense moved around in the half court was great. I thought the way that they kind of trailed in transition was awesome. Darius Garland playing a lot off the ball was kind of surprising in a sense that I was really curious to see what, because Kenny Atkinson, if you've read everything he said in the offseason was, Garland's going to get the ball a lot. And here it was a lot more of kind of being off the ball and let Mitchell be the point guard and kind of getting him off screens, getting him shots. And he shot all right. I mean, I expect he's going to be a little better as time gets on. But, like I said, we're talking preseason. He was 5 of 11 and 3 and 6 from 3 and had 5 assists today. And that's majority of Mitchell kind of being the ball handler majority of the time when they were on the court together.
Yeah, I'm curious. The two pieces that I'm curious with the Atkinson era is Jared Allen and Darius Garland. We know Donovan Mitchell. He is MVP candidate year in and year out. We know evident now that he's going to be using Evan Mobley much more. So I'm curious how Garland and Jared Allen are going to fit in this new scheme, especially Jared Allen in the sense of, this is an offensive minded coach, and Jared Allen's strong point was the defensive end. That's one thing I had in my notes here is the defense isn't as crisp. It's the first preseason game. So they can't take that as hard or to heart. But we're dealing with a new system. So I'm curious to see how the defense either maintains or develops coming out of the Bickerstaff system and into the Atkinson system.
Yeah, I think part of that, you're absolutely right. There was definitely stretches where it wasn't very crisp. I thought the second quarter, the defense was really, really good. Mm-hmm. But there's probably a part two. You probably have to give the Bulls some credit. I know the Bulls are trying to fail, and they don't know how to do that correctly. I covered the Bulls for a long time. I grew up a Bulls fan. I can say all these things. So it's not me just being a pity patter. They're terrible at what they do. They can't win right and they can't lose right. And so Evan Kobe White and Zach LaVine, guys who can knock down baskets. You got to give those guys credit. Josh Giddey, I thought, had some nice stretches for them as well in that game. But so I kind of give a little credit that off in the first half to, it was kind of running a new system, but the Bulls also knocking down some shots. As you expect they would with like those guys that we mentioned. But the second half, you could really tell, the second quarter, you could really tell that they kind of dove in. They kind of really clicked. Probably knew it was probably the last majority of time they'd be playing together in the game. And I thought it was really good. Mobley kind of did the Mobley we expect him to do. Like I said, 3 block shots, was attacking the basket, where they getting rebounds. I thought perimeter defense, I know the Bulls shot pretty well, but it wasn't like they were just sitting by themselves in the corner most of the time. I thought that they did Cleveland did a really good job of kind of being in their faces. Josh Giddey was 0 for 3 tonight from 3, Vooch 0 for 2, Pat Williams 0 for 2, Levine 1 for 4. The only one who really had a nice shooting game was Kobe White going 3 of 7. But I thought that was kind of a really nice thing that jumped out. Kobe White, 21 points for them. Jalen Smith looked like a nice addition for the Bulls. Wow, he looked really good. But this is a Cavs podcast, not a Bulls podcast. I know. I did plenty of that in my day. But really, I thought that there were things there that really jumped out to me on the defensive side where I'm with you. I do think with Kenny Atkinson coming in, there is going to be a minor step back defensively, but I still think the Cavs have everything it takes to be, top 10 defense in the NBA. But now they can probably play at a much faster pace and be much better offense with this new regime. Yeah,
that's something that we got a glimpse of last year. Was playing with pace after the previous year being dead last in the league in pace. So it's the momentum's picking up on the offensive side. One note that I have in here is I think Karis LeVert is the perfect six-man for this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he can keep an offensive momentum rolling coming off of the bench. So I think he is like the best person that they could have sitting in that role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I thought he was really good tonight. He had the one play on DJ Stewart where he picked his pocket and got an easy dunk in transition. That was awesome. LeVert was all over the place. You look at the kind of night that he had. I think is really good suiting for kind of being that six man, like you said. So 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists tonight in this first preseason matchup. And the time when the bench was very up and down. Obviously, a lot of guys play in these games. But LeVert kind of being that steady hand that you can count on was awesome. I thought that he was really impressive there. Georges Niang, I thought played really well for a guy who was really disappointing last year. I thought really stepped up and kind of gave a glimpse of what he can also be in this system as well. Wasn't necessarily the Georges Niang knocking down every shot like he did in Philadelphia, but 4 of 8 from the floor, was 0-4 from 3. So he was really, really good inside the perimeter. But Dean Wade, again, I know is a guy that we all love for his defense and played really good defense again tonight. Guarding guys like Vooch, like Pat Williams, did really well there as well. I was very pleased with majority of the bench unit. Who are some of the other guys besides LeVert and Wade that kind of jumped out to you? What you saw from the non-starters?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping and praying that we get a repeat season from Sam Merrill.
Yes,
this is a guy that can be absolutely pivotal. That shoots 40% plus from the 3-point line. He needs no space to get his shot off, and he has one of the fastest shooting motions I can remember. I have, the best comp that I have for him is a Kyle Korver. So and if you have a Kyle Korver coming off of your bench in fast momentum, pivotal situations, that is an asset to have. I hope he can continue to grow into that role and into that team without, I know he had a huge hot streak last year and then kind of either got fizzled out or JB Bickerstaff iced him out a little more towards the end of the season. So I hope he can keep growing in that momentum.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really like Sam Merrill. Obviously, the toughness you talked about, not just the ability to shoot, but taking charges. He is one of the best in the league at that. That really jumped out to me. Isaac Okoro, I was disappointed in his play tonight. I don't think that's going to be a common thing. We saw how well he can shoot, and I think this is kind of him learning a new role. As far as last year he bounced around from the starting lineup to the bench and so on and so forth. So now it looks like he's going to kind of probably be penciled. He might actually start Thursday. Who knows? Now that I can't imagine Max Strus is going to play Thursday. So even if he is okay, and I think it doesn't look terrible, but I'm not a medical person, so I'm not going to go into speculating there.
It's a long season. I think the Cavs are going to take their time on it.
Yeah, I do too. Ty Jerome, I know his stats weren't great. It was nice to see him playing again.
It is nice to see him playing.
I'm a big Ty Jerome fan. I loved him in college at Virginia when everyone hated Virginia because they were so boring. And they are boring. Don't get me wrong. But I thought that he looked aggressive, and I really liked that part. I know he didn't hit a lot of shots, but he was attacking the rim. He was kind of trying to make things happen. And like I said, kind of getting his legs underneath him again. So I think as time goes on, he's going to really be involved in the team. And, Kenny Axon's already talking pretty big about playing 10 guys deep. I can't imagine Jerome's 11 right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I'm hoping Jerome can grow into what the Cavs need from him, because that's one thing that this Cavs team is missing is a veteran point guard to lead an offense off the bench.
Yeah.
Our starters, awesome. A+ in most of those positions. But once you get to the bench, you really have Okoro and LeVert. Those are your staples, and then everybody else really is a shuffle. We hope Dean Wade is that 4. We hope Tristan Thompson's the 5, and to have Jerome at the 1. But what I imagine this team needing is, think of a Mike Conley type of person. Somebody that is enough of an offensive threat to draw attention, but is a maestro in running an offense.
I think that every team could use a Mike Conley, but this team would be very perfect with that. Maybe just Mike Conley. I don't know. What things just don't go right in Minnesota? They're like, we'll pay his salary. You can use him to back up Mitchell. They've played together already, so.
But Mike Conley, or I know Derrick Rose just retired, but having somebody like a Derrick Rose running the second unit.
His 16 games with the Cavs already wasn't enough, so.
I love the Derrick Rose era.
Me too. My first Cavs game I ever went to was that half a year when Rose and Wade were on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Waiting for
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas to get the hip right.
It never did.
That was the worst trade ever.
It didn't age very well.
No, not at all.
Remember, they were like, Ante Zizic is going to be really good for them. And we were like, I don't think so. Wouldn't put money on that. But on the other side of things, I want to kind of talk about the defense a little bit. So as a whole, probably there were stretches where they weren't very good. But realistically, if you look at it, they held the Bulls to 42% shooting as a team. They held them to 20% from the 3. The Bulls were 8 of 40 from 3 in this game. They out-rebounded the Bulls. And they just got beat by turnovers, and the Bulls just took full advantage of turnovers. The turnover differential
16 turnovers.
16 turnovers, and the Bulls had 31 points off turnovers. The Cavs forced 13 and only had 10 points off turnovers. That's kind of your game there. 33 fast break points for the Bulls, 22 for Cleveland. I'm going to just tip that up to, I don't think that's going to be an issue all year. I think that as people get locked in more and more, I really think that this is going to be a team that's going to be okay there. I know we kind of talked about some of the disappointing guys, disappointing performances we saw on the offensive side of the ball, but I think they're going to be fine. I really thought that tonight I was pretty impressed with what I saw from the Cavs as a big picture. And I know what the numbers say, but the numbers say that, hey, they played really well. They just turned the ball over too many times to give it too many points off turnovers.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to win the turnover battle. I don't know how you win an NBA game and lose the turnover battle.
Yeah.
So cleaning up the turnovers, I think, is a great first step into what they can address tomorrow. And I think leading into the next game against the Pacers, I think that's going to be a great test of what this Cavs team can be. That they have a great offensive lineup. They have a great they're a great ran team, great ran organization. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great test for the Cavaliers into what they need to do, how they can keep up with another high power, high offense. So I'm excited for Thursday.
Me too. And just so people know, when this is available for you, the Pacers are currently playing as we're recording. As I look now, they're down 116-115 in Atlanta with 5:54 to go. But Scott, let's do some of these numbers right now from the Pacers. We'll preview the Pacers a little bit and just talk about them to kind of before we get to some of the little mini news things before we get out of here. Tyrese Halliburton, the newest addition to the Puma family, signed with Puma, a nice shoe deal. 8 points, 4 assists. Andrew Nembhard starting with Halliburton, 10-3-3. What if I told you James Wiseman was having a solid 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4-4 from the floor night? Huh?
Jeez.
James Wiseman, my guy. TJ McConnell, 10 points, 3 assists, 4-4 from the floor. TJ McConnell was like, when you talked about just now how they need that point guard, that's kind of your dude. That's kind of the guy that
TJ would be a great guy to have in that role.
Right. As every team's like, yeah, we would love to have TJ McConnell. But this is the Pacers team. Obviously went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Tyrese Halliburton was a part of Team USA this offseason and won a gold medal. Didn't play a whole lot. Per se, was kind of battling a little bit of his injury still, from what I understand. But when he did play, looked pretty good. They're a really deep team. So they started today. They went Siakam, Nesmith, Wiseman, Halliburton, Nembhard. Off the bench, they have Cole Swider, Obi Toppin, Jarris Walker, who was a top 10 pick, Ben Mathurin, Quentin Jackson, Ben Shepherd, TJ McConnell, and Tristan Newton, who's a rookie at UConn. He's a second-year guy. I always get those UConn point guards mixed up. My apologies. There's 1,000 of them now. He's the new Coach K. Dan Hurley is. So they're going to win a lot
Seems
of
like
championships.
it. He's turning that thing into a factory.
Yeah, they're going to win a lot of championships. But a really deep team. Obviously, a team the Cavs are very comfortable with considering they play 4 times a year. A couple times if you count preseason as well. This is going to be a really unique challenge as far as the Pacers are like what the Bulls just did to Cleveland tonight, but with much more talent. They are a team that loves to push the pace. Defense is optional for the Pacers. They're full on, get the rebound and push it down and try to get a basket as quick as possible. And they're really, really good at it. So
they're very good at it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what they clean up. I'm excited to see as well the Luke Travers and the JT Thors and how much they play in this game, if they can build off of having really nice nights tonight. What does Jalen Tyson look like? Because when he played in the fourth quarter, I thought he looked pretty solid. But, what do those guys bring as well as how long do they keep playing the 15, 16 minutes for the starters for the time being? And maybe with 2 more preseason games after this, maybe treat next week as a dress rehearsal, they amp the minutes up. All that's going to be really interesting to me, but I'm excited to see what they look like in this game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they look like against, a top 10 team.
Yeah.
One you brought up Travers and Thor, those 2 guys, they looked pretty good.
They did.
If this Strus injury bleeds out, I think those Travers looked pretty polished from all those years in the Australian League.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a great guy to step into that 10th man role.
Yeah. That play he made where we tipped it on the pass, that was awesome. Yeah.
And then Thor, Tristan Thompson, 14 NBA seasons. So you're likely injuries are going to happen throughout the season or time off or anything like that. I think he could be a guy to step in, barring injuries and stuff. So I do agree with Brad Daugherty said it on the broadcast that this is a deep team. I think that the depth is in that 3, 4, 5 spot. So I would love to get a little more depth especially that 1 spot.
Not only Brad Daugherty say this is a deep team, he said they are the deepest team in the NBA. I was like, all right, Brad, Boston, even without Porzingis, still has a lot of players that can play basketball.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. I love you, Brad Daugherty. You are the man. But I guess I didn't notice till today. I don't know if you knew this or not. Campy Russell is not going to be part of the broadcast this year.
No, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, I saw Sam and Miko put that on his site. So that was a bummer.
That is a bummer. I love when he does, the halftime and post game shows.
Yeah, so I guess that won't be a thing this year. That's really unfortunate. All right, man. Let's touch on a little bit of a couple news things. Nothing major before we go ahead and get out of here for episode 1. Obviously, the biggest news today is Imani Bates gets a little knee surgery, so he's going to be out a month. This is kind of a situation where the 2 guys we just talked about, Travers and Thor, this could be kind of their chance to really step up and get some time in that when they're with the Charge. We're going to cover the Charge a lot, as much as we can. Their season starts a month after the Cavs season does. So we're going to kind of touch on them as much as we can through the season, kind of keep you guys posted there as well. But for Imani, obviously, there's a lot of – he's a name that everyone knows. Obviously, at one point, the number 1 overall player in high school and was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 15 years old. And I kind of call him J.R. Smith light. He has J.R. Smith tendencies. And the good and the bad. Look, absolutely love J.R. Smith. He is a colleague of ours here at Blue Wire. So we got to get JR on the show sometime. JR, if you
that'd be awesome.
This. Yeah, come hang out with us. But I think Imani has everything it takes to kind of be that J.R. Smith role that can get hot and be a microwave guy for you. But this opens up the opportunity for Travers, who, like you said, looked pretty solid tonight. This opens up an opportunity for JT Thor, who just played in the Olympics for South Sudan and got to the knockout rounds.
Yeah, and gave Team USA fits.
He was guarding LeBron in a couple of those games. I mean, he was doing his thing. So I thought his jump shot looked really good tonight. By the way, I know we didn't talk a whole lot about him. And then this for Jalen Tyson too. I imagine with how deep the Cavs are, he's going to have quite a few games with the Charge as well. So it's an opportunity for him to kind of get going as well. So if Imani does just miss a month and he's ready for when the Charge season starts, great. But if not, you feel pretty good where the Cavs are at with that depth we just talked about and the opportunity those three young guys we just talked about are going to get.
Yeah, I hope the time for Imani isn't extensive. I hope he's able to come back and start the season or closely follow the start of the season. But you're right. We have other guys that can fill these roles, and we'll see if they're able to develop and further. Like I said, with Travers, I think he's got the best shot just from
me too.
The years of his Australian league. I think he's got the best shot of the three. The talent is there for Imani. I know he's got some off the court issues. So hopefully just like you said, J.R. Smith had off court issues and he's well beloved here in Cleveland. He was single-handedly, or maybe not single-handedly, but a huge part of bringing a championship. So, it's a testing league, both physically and mentally, and we hope Imani can really show why he was number 1 player in high school and on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. So update, the Hawks are up 125-124. Typical Pacers game going on right now. And it's preseason game 1. So talking about, we got to circle a bit. So a couple of new articles that came out this week that I wanted to get to. The first one was that today the GM survey came out that comes out every year before the season starts. And one of the things that really jumped out to me was, although that the surveys themselves projected the Cavaliers to finish 4th overall in the group votings, the Cavaliers were the only team other than the Celtics to get a first place vote in the East. Now, granted, Celtics got 97% of the first place vote, so the Cavs got the 3%. But I've kind of said all along, so Cavs got 3% for first place, 7% for second, 30% for third, 17% for fourth. So projected still have home court advantage, but putting them above Milwaukee, putting them above Orlando, putting them above Indiana. So if this went the way that they say, the Cavs would be playing playing the Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. Yowza. That's a long, long ways to go. That's a long ways to go, obviously. But I was kind of shocked by that in the sense that they were the only other team to get 1 first place vote. But I've also said that if everything goes well and they avoid a second round matchup with the Celtics, I really do think they could play in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do think they have the talent to do so. And if Mobley makes the jump that we all suspect he's going to make, which will be our next point we'll get to here. But your thoughts there on the Cavs being the other team to get a first place vote?
I don't think it's crazy.
I don't either.
Boston, they're coming off of a long season, making it all the way through. We'll see what championship hangover happens. New York is New York. Something always happens.
Mhm.
I love their addition of Cat.
Me too.
But we'll see. We'll see what that team ends up being. We'll see what the New York environment is. Philly, they always have their struggles. I know that they added Paul George, and we'll see what this evolution of the Sixers bring. And we saw last year Milwaukee kind of falling off in the sense of their coaching situation wasn't right. Bringing in Dame didn't do as well as they might have hoped. They still very good team.
They've already blown a big league in preseason this year to the Pistons.
That's not a good sign. So I don't think it's crazy. I think the voting shows it's unlikely, but I don't think it's crazy. Barring health, I think we have what it takes to match up with Boston, especially if we get the version of Evan Mobley that we are now very much expecting.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So on that same vote, when they did the vote for most likely to have a breakout season in 24-25, Jalen Williams from Oklahoma City won the GM poll with 13%, but tied for second were Ja Morant, Victor Wembanyama, and Evan Mobley at 10% each. And then ESPN had an article. I was trying to find it, but my camera is actually covering the NBA tab, so I'm having to make really great content for our listeners right now, where I'm moving my stuff all over the place. But it was talking about the 11 people who are poised to have breakout seasons, and Evan Mobley was number one. And the thing that they said was that, more or less, that if he becomes a multiple-time All-Star, not just a single All-Star, that this is exactly. Here we go. All right, I finally have it. So sorry about all that. So Jeremy Wu wrote this, and it was Tier 1 potential All-Stars, Evan Mobley. And he said, now Cavaliers coach Kenny Atkinson spent the summer with the French national team, leading the France to a silver medal, blah, 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 blah. He talked about, he returned to Cleveland comparing the Spurs' Victor Wembanyama and the Cavaliers' Evan Mobley. These guys can do so many things. They're so talented and similar because they're so talented defensively, so you got that piece. And now how do they fit to the new NBA game? And he goes on to talk about how Evan has all these glimpses. He really did shoot the three better last year. Just didn't take a lot of them. He did shoot 38% last year. Just took, I think, less than two a game. I don't have the basketball reference page in front of me, but Evan Mobley is probably, not to put pressure on the kid, because I think he's been excellent. I just think that there's things that obviously he's still improving on, which, by the way, Brett Doherty made the point tonight. In real life, he's a senior in college right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. This is his third NBA season. And so what they're kind of saying is that, I wouldn't say pressure's on Evan Mobley, but I think the Cavs' fate does rely on a lot what happens to him. And if we see what we saw tonight, watch out, because that's another monster out there. That's like Giannis jump level offensively. Not comparing them as players, but that's what you want to see.
Yeah, and I don't know how for the GM surveys, you can't. Ja Morant, a previous NBA All-Star, previous NBA first teamer, fireworks.
Where did I'm not controlling this, just so we're clear. I don't know where that's coming from.
Apple. So
did you say birthday? I don't recall you saying birthday or something.
I don't know what that was, but
yeah.
How can you say, oh, this previous NBA All-Star is going to have a breakthrough? Like, yeah, I feel like that discredits a lot.
Yeah, and like Wemby's like the favorite to win Most Improved Player, and I'm like, he's a second-year player in the league who just was this close to winning a gold medal.
Right.
I feel like that's if you give it to him, you're kind of wasting the award.
Right. So I do think that he has the skill set, and now I think he has the coaching behind him. I have the GM polls up. Which new relocated coach will have the biggest impact on his team? Kenny Atkinson's number 2 on that list.
Yeah.
So I think having Kenny Atkinson behind him and running this offense through him is something that's going to benefit him and I don't want to say expedite the growth, but the thing that we've all been itching for under the JB Bickerstaff era is we know what he can do defensively. We were waiting for that offensive jump, and now that you have, if this offense can run like we saw tonight, that offense jump is bound to happen, which now takes pressure off of Donovan Mitchell. So he's not getting all of the focus knowing that he is the #1 on the team. So I think he can very much have the biggest breakthrough season. And I'd agree, multiple time All-Star.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that if Mitchell hits the 70 game point, by the way, he will be first team All-NBA this year.
Like I led in the beginning of this episode, I think he's hunting an MVP this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot to keep him off the court.
Exactly. It was just with how well he did last season, how energized he is after this extension, and really, like I said, I know it's the first preseason game, but I like to have my hopes high, and how he's started without skipping a beat. I think that's phenomenal, and that's something that we haven't even talked about is the multiple extensions. Like, this is the Cavs team for years to come.
Yep. They bet on continuity, and I don't have an issue with it. I'm really excited to see how it turns out. Well, hey, man, we got through one. We know at minimum 85 more to go. Hopefully more. Yeah, hopefully more. I suspect there'll be more, but we know at minimum 85 more of these. But thank you all if you do tune in. We really appreciate it. Shout out to Blue Wire for letting us do this. This is awesome. We're going to be a little bit all over the place. Check us out at bsspod.com, Block Shot Stop. We are on Twitter at The Block The Stop. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. I know that we're working on getting the other socials up as we speak. Our other guy, Kevin Lynch, is putting a lot of effort to that, so we're definitely appreciative of him and all of his efforts. But we will be back on Thursday night. I think we'll be able to be live that night if on the YouTubes if it works out. So we'll keep you posted there on the internets if so. But Skylar, thank you. I'm excited. We're getting this going, and we got a ways to go, but we got one out the way.
Yeah, this is. I'm excited for this season. This is going to be a lot of fun to talk basketball with you and share our thoughts with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone, thank you. Have a great night, and we'll see you in a couple nights.
Go Cavs.